Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gift of Gaming podcast. And on this week's episode, we've caught up with Nintendo's Direct on Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Alright, it's me, your host, Darren Wade, and today I'm joined by Craig, the critical Nolan, a fellow Fire Emblem enthusiast. Craig, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me, Darren. It's good to be back.
How are you on this? We are still in fucking Heatwave Central here in Ireland, which is wild. This is the nicest summer in my living memory ever in this country.
In lifetime, I would say, yes. That's what, 6 weeks on the trot of
non-stop,
sunshine.
yeah.
You know, with the occasional shower, but only a few minutes of a shower, and then that's it. Like,
and we're behind an episode by a week because we went to All Together Now the other weekend. And
why would you even bother saying that? Like,
well,
didn't we miss like 2 months like straight?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that 1 week. If you're gonna apologize, you apologize for that.
I'm not very much a professional, everyone. I'm sorry. But even at the festival, which was unheard of,
was incredible,
unbelievable weather. Yeah, all this good weather, and I still want to sit in and play some video games. It's making me feel guilty, and I hate that.
Well, you just have to play summary video games like I do. That like eases the conscience a little bit. Like,
what's your current summary video game that's easing your conscience?
Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I'm still playing it, baby.
Nice.
And the sunshine galore, the rum, all the piratey stuff. You know, it's perfect. I just open my door, the wind comes in, I stick my pirate hat on, and sing a chanty. You know,
the neighbors are asking questions. He's developed an alcohol problem. So have you finished Black Flag? Are you done?
I'm close to the end. I'm like. Because it's one of those games where like the world map isn't huge like kind of games of the last 5-6 years. Like it's an open world map, but like it's far more manageable, you know.
Yeah.
So I've gotten through about 90% of it, I'd say, and because I just don't want the game to end quite yet, I've kind of just been doing everything, like just going from location to location and getting every chest, getting this, that, and the other.
And just before we started the episode, you said that you were doing the missions or the objectives that were kind of new to the game, that weren't in the original.
Well, I've only
Black Flag.
gotten to that now because I just got to a point in the story where I kind of finally got all my crew members, because they're new to the game as well. You can get 3 crew members like added to your ship. 2 you can get immediately, and 1 is very close to the end of the game. But once you get that third one, it kind of unlocks a bunch of story missions after that, because the new content has all 3 crewmates, and so you couldn't start that new content with a crewmate missing because they're involved in the cutscenes, you know. So I was quite surprised to just say, oh shit, now I've got a big lengthy mission involving all 3 of them. You know, that's kind of had multiple parts and has gone on quite a long time. It's kind of like almost like a DLC. It's got its own little story. It's not amazing. There's not a lot of new mechanics or anything like that, but like it fleshes out. It's just great to be chatting to characters while you're planning a mission, as opposed to the main character just kind of showing up and be like, all right, let's kill the bad guy, which unfortunately Black Flag has a lot of. Like they clearly want to skip time and skip all the fluff. So usually, like if someone tells you, hey, I need you to kill that guy, there's no real, how are we going to do this? Go here, go. You essentially just show up at the location and be like, and it's
ready to kill him. Yeah,
it's just like what was said happened in the background. You know, it doesn't. You don't actually hear that. You know, which is kind of disappointing because I love all the voice work and the motion capture they've done, because like Edward Kenway will walk around the ship, pick things up, you know, like especially having played so many Japanese games, it's refreshing to see the characters animated in realistic ways, as opposed to just fold their arms all the time.
Or I'm playing Rebirth at the minute, and I was doing and Lauren was watching the screen, which is so funny because I was doing that. Did you ever do this the side mission for the ultimate party animal, the Shinra middle manager, when he does all the things in the golden saucer?
Of course, yeah.
It's so Japanese, like and Lauren was watching the screen.
He's just being a tourist, like.
Yeah, but she was like, why are they acting like this? Do you know what I mean? The movements are so unrealistic, like it's a real
so exaggerated.
So as you said, it's nice. I'm looking forward to playing or stepping away from a JRPG and having a more, as you said, kind of realistic.
Yeah, because there's such a massive difference between Western and Eastern culture in regards to video games.
Yes,
you know, because before I played Black Flag, I tried Yakuza Like a Dragon, and everything in that game is manic as fuck. It's just over the top in every conceivable way. Like nothing is ordinary. You can't even like walk around with a shopping cart without that doing somersaults or something, like, you know, like you throw it and that starts to flip and do all these fucking 180 moves like it's a fucking surfing board game. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I've never really wanted to get into the Yakuza games, but I'm delighted for the people that really enjoy them, because if you're into it, it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that they were ever
I got
for
about
me.
2-3 hours in. I'm like, the graphics are shit.
Okay.
Like, it's clearly they focus on gameplay.
Yes.
But the characters are just doing and behaving in just such stupid
Exaggerated
things that, like, I can't narratively, I have no idea what's going to happen because I know it won't make sense. You know, like a guy is going to walk into a room and he's going to get ambushed, but then they're going to become best friends and do a dance. You know, like, it's just too crazy for me.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
And that was the funny thing about this quest, because, you know, Lauren watches. She wouldn't, like, Lauren's not a gamer at all, but she'd watch. Sometimes me playing. She knows the Final Fantasy characters well, because it's probably one of the things I've spent a lot of time in, and she would have spent a lot of time watching me doing the cool stuff, like the fight scenes, the bosses, the cool music. And then she was watching this Shinra middle manager getting lifted from venue to venue in the gold saucer by a bunch of Mughals while he's dancing, and she's like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, it's the same game.
A lot of people compare Rebirth to the Yakuza games because of the new side mission type content they do, and I don't think it hits those levels by any means. Like, I only got 2 hours into Yakuza and it was 10 times crazier than Rebirth already. Like, you know,
I think they're just designed to be that way. I downloaded a new game that I've only played for like an hour, but just I was looking for a cozy game, and this one has been ported. It's been on PC for a while, but it was just ported to the Switch and PlayStation. It's called Kinseed. I don't know if you've seen Kinseed. So think of Stardew Valley.
I always do.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a farm life, but it's a really cool. The concept's quite interesting. Again, I'm still learning lots of the ropes because there's like tons of mini games, but it's from the old, lots of the crew who would have done the original Fable. So there's really cool mechanics in that, like you can run and own the blacksmiths, or looks like I'm not anywhere near there yet, but you can run and own the blacksmiths or any shop, and you can hire people and pay them good wages or bad wages. And it's the same, like it's not as pixelated as Stardew Valley, but the same kind of style. Nice. But the cool idea is it's generational. I think the whole concept is that you sell your soul to this. It's kind of based in Celtic and British folklore, so you sell your soul to this kind of deity to I can't remember what the benefit is that you get, but the bad thing is that you only live to 50 and every one of your children only live to 50, but the whole game passes in time. So you'll die and your kid, you'll take over as your kid and keep going. Okay. And you're building this whole empire, this legacy of your family, but the characters in the towns that you're with, you know, supposedly will go with you. So it's a really interesting concept, and it's got like the fishing, it's got dungeon crawler stuff, but it's kind of a turn-based battle system when you get into fights and things. So it's quite an interesting. It's got loads going on, and I'm quite keen to really sink my teeth.
Yeah, I'm more focused. Like I'd love a Stardew that focused more on the development of the characters and their lives, their secret lives that you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to see more of that.
This one, I haven't really, as again, I'm only like 2 hours in, so I'm still very much in the tutorial, so I can't say whether or not the characters are really in depth, but I'm looking at like the things it's telling me I can do, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah. Like you can play really good and like pay the villagers well if they work in your shop, or you can be a dickhead. They don't like you because you're paying them under minimum wage and you're a dick. So it's kind of got a little bit more of a, what would you say, an extra level, I think, than Stardew Valley might have. But jury's still out as to whether or not I'll enjoy it as much as Stardew. Okay. But I'm interested.
And is there a lot of outside gamesmanship in this game of yours to justify playing in the summer?
No. This is my...
It seems very much like you're in the middle of the dirty blacksmith area, like, you know, in a cave.
25 degrees outside.
In a hut, like, you know. Scupping away, like, oh no, not the heat. I'll take a storm any day.
I was just looking because there was loads of games on sale, and I was talking to your roommate recently about like cozy games, what I was looking for next, and there was like Tales from the Shire, and I was looking at reviews for that, and people were saying it's kind of 50-50. It's not amazing, it's not brilliant. And even your roommate had said like, no, not like it's good, but it's not amazing. And I was like, I really want the next Stardew. I want something to kind of cozy up.
There's a magic version, Mystria or something? Tales of Mystery? Is that what
there's a witch one.
Yes, the witch one.
I can't remember what it's called, but that looks fun. Like this, the cozy game universe is wild because there's ones where you just like you own a potion shop. That's the entire concept of this other game. And I'm like, man, if I had the time, because like Stardew Valley or this one looks like they're absolute time sinks. Like cozy games aren't like a pickup. You know, play for 20 hours and you're done.
Yeah,
like,
but see, I don't want two codes. I want one that I'll put 100 hours into. You know, so I don't want to be like, I want to try a few. I want one really good.
And
one.
I'm hoping this is it for me because I keep trying to want to go back to Stardew, but I'm like,
did you try Coral Island?
I just didn't like how it looked. I played 2 hours of it and it crashed, and then I never went back to it. And
I'd give it maybe another push, because
I just
don't
really
like
the art style.
I think it grows on you, especially like at the water stuff, and you're kind of like, oh no, I understand why they went with this kind of graphics, because you don't want the water to look like this.
Yeah.
And eventually, like with the seasons changing, you're like, no, it's this game is gorgeous.
Okay.
Like, you know, I get the characters' faces have that kind of like everyone in the game looks Asian or something. Like
it whatever art style. That's the thing is, and I appreciate that it's
like it looks like everyone's from like Disney's Mulan or something. Like you know,
it's almost too clean cut for me.
Yeah,
or something
it is,
like that,
but it does like, and that's what turned me off initially. But like, I mean, the game was discounted, and I was like, I'll give this a go.
And you put in 100.
I have hundreds of hours in it now. I love it. Like, you know, I would can't wait to like start again. But it's because it's made by a bunch of people who love video games, and so a lot of like the extra content they've put in, like all the underwater decorations are SpongeBob inspired. You know, so there's like loads of things from Bikini Bottom that you can decorate in your underwater area, and like in your above water area, there's like lightsabers. You can get the Master Swords. There's like
how are they getting away with the licensing?
Because it looks slightly different, but it's clearly the Master Sword. But there's loads of things like that. And you're like, oh man, I can't wait to put that in my farm. You know, so like being able to just like go, oh, I wonder what new furniture they've unlocked in the shops this season. There could be some deadly stuff there. Cool. Yeah. And I love looking forward to things like that in game, because Stardew just didn't have enough of that. Whereas this game, like, new stuff just is constant. Unlocked throughout the game and got me excited. Like, you know,
if Kinsey doesn't work with me, if I don't like settle in to it, I'll probably try. I'll give Coral Island because I have it. It's just that,
just give it another couple of hours to just try and get a few days in. But like if I had to go back and play one now, it would be Coral Island
over Stardew.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, in fairness, I played Stardew like 3 times.
Yes,
and Coral Island just once.
And I just can't go back to Stardew. I've played Stardew to death. I can't go back to it anymore. Like, I'm like, that game is done. I still want to play something like it, but I just won't play that anymore. Yeah, exactly.
I love the sequel. You know, 10 years later. You know,
he's working on the Chocolatier something or other. Is it like a DLC
I don't care.
or separate game?
I don't care.
It's been too long.
You know, it doesn't matter.
It's the problem of being a one man.
Even if he did a sequel to Stardew, I wouldn't play it. You know,
really.
I just don't think it could be, because with him as a person by himself, just it's too much of a task. He needs a dozen people, like, you know, and I'm sure you've a million by now. Like you've multiple million. Just do it.
Man, he's fucking rolling in it after Stardew. Yeah, for such a small team. But Craig, we're not here to talk about just cozy games.
We're not.
Yeah, I know, right? You watched the thing on Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave.
That's
right?
not a cozy game.
No.
War.
So we said we'd do an episode because we were chatting for a while and we got on to Fortune's Weave and we kind of said, actually, we should just save this kind of chit chat for the episode, because you and me have played through a lot of Fire Emblem games.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't really delve into anything too heavily prior to Awakening. I think Awakening was my kind of, I did everything in that game. Yeah. I touched upon the other ones, the one with Roy as well, but they were just a bit too maybe old for me at the time, so I never continued on. But from a top level, before we break the because Nintendo released a direct that had about 22 minutes worth of explaining what the game is, how it'll work, etc. From a top level, how do you feel about Fortune's Weave? Are you excited for the next Fire Emblem game coming out in essentially like a month? I'm
excited, but like every time there's a new Fire Emblem game, I'm excited, even though I shouldn't be, and a lot of them have been bad, but some of them have been great, you know. And I don't know what we're gonna get, but generally, if it's just good turn-based combat with a decent cast of characters, it would be enough for me. Yeah, like Fates and the one with Corrin, like there was just two. I need decent writing with the characters as well. Like for the one with Corrin and the most recent one, Engage, they only had one writer, and it showed. Every character was just a caricature. Yeah. And I hated every single one of them. And whereas Tree Houses, Sacred Stones, Path to Radiance, like most Fire Emblem games have a really good core group of characters that have deadly like between levels, have very good dialogue between them if you grow to make them like each other and stuff. And sometimes it's just a bit of banter, but it's very fun, and it really develops them as people in their world and kind of builds the whole universe around it. But the current game and the most recent game, Engage, did not have that. No. But the fact that this new game is following Tree Houses, I'd say they're going to focus a bit more on the writing, because this is one of the first times they've done a sequel or prequel. I'm not sure. They actually didn't confirm which it was.
So they gave us, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but they gave us in this direct dates that this is currently happening in.
Yeah.
And based off what I saw, I think this is a sequel. A good bit into the future.
I mean, it's 250 years into the future, or it's a completely different calendar, you know? Because, like, none of the cities or continents are named the same thing. So it's kind of, would all that really change in 250 years? Like, that's a big shake-up.
It's a sequel in realm only.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a case where, and hopefully they go in and explain it through books or through character dialogue. And I would find that very interesting if they like slowly dished out bits of what happened in the 250
like,
years.
Even named like, Edelgard.
Because there's so much content in there that
and
you can just have little tidbits here and there to flesh that out, to say, I'll say after Edelgard was defeated, like the whole continent was reshaped through the war and we had to rename this, that and the other, you know, like it could be great. And one of the characters is in Tree Houses, will be in this game again.
Is that Sothis?
Setet. Is it Sete? The kind of, he was the green haired dragoon in Tree Houses whose sister
is Sothis, who's the
no, Sothis is the goddess.
Yes.
And then there was Rhea, who was the current kind of immortal being who had been around since the Demon King.
Right.
But there was also, her name wasn't Mael, Flayn and her brother Sethith, who both lived at the monastery. He was a teacher.
Oh, sorry. I know exactly what you're talking
you know
about.
How exactly?
Yes.
So he is in the game again.
Oh, is he?
He's a. They're calling it a dragoon, which annoys me because dragoons do not ride dragons. Dragoons
are
soldiers who
attack
are like
dragons.
Yes, they're like dragons or jump from dragons,
yes.
but they fight hand to hand.
Yeah.
So they've renamed Wyvern Lords dragoons, which annoys me because now they can't have dragoons in the game. I've always wanted them to have dragoons in the game, but Sethith is in the game as
a dragoon.
one of those characters. So he could be your link to finding out what happened.
And Sothis. Sothis is the god, and she's to be
goddess,
older.
Yeah.
She seems to be older in this trailer, which makes me think it's so many years into the future because she's kind of a young kid.
Well, I mean, like in the OG game though, she died. Like she essentially merged with Byleth and ceased to be. So it could be a case of after Byleth died, she's released or something
and she's
like
older
that,
or whatever else. Yeah.
Either way, that's interesting, and like so long as there's some decent writing with some of the characters to fill bits of that out, I would be very happy. Like you know, because most Fire Emblem game, it's just like, oh, we're a new continent on the continent of blah blah. You know, like it's always bollocks. Like you know, especially in Fire Emblem Engage, where they put no effort into anything. They were just like, okay, here's the 5 kingdoms. This kingdom has a prince and a princess, and there's their 2 retainers, 1 boy, 1 girl. And there's that continent with its prince and princess and 2 retainers, 1 boy, 1 girl. And like it was that formula pasted 5 times. Yeah. And I'm just like, that is so lazy.
Yeah.
You know, that just should never happen.
When Engage came out, when I saw the trailer for Engage, I looked at that and I was like, this is such a cash grab.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a, even by the trailer alone, because like, even the character is so fucking, like, was it 1 red eye, 1 blue eye, half hair, or the hair is half and half. I was like, this is just, like, it's just a silly concept. And it came out very quickly from the game previous, because that was post Three Houses.
It was 2 years later,
which by Fire Emblem standards I think was pretty quick, and I was like, I don't really know about this.
It was pretty quick, but as well, like it didn't focus on its own thing. It like the gimmick of Engage was you can summon characters from all the other games. It doesn't make sense why you can do that, and like once you have them, your characters are warped so that like they're either too powerful now, making the characters who don't have a buddy to team up with like useless.
Crap, why would I use
so
them?
It's like, and say you have you're in a fight and you've 10 characters, 8 of them are equipped with the recruited powered up characters. The other 2 are fucking useless, because like everyone else is like ridiculously OP and doing moves that don't make sense. Because it's just, Ike is there with his axe or whatever, and he never even had an axe.
You're like, why are you ruining all the good things that used to exist?
I'd rather, like be able to see a unit and go, oh, that guy has an axe. I'll send my guy with a sword in because sword beats axe. As opposed to, he has equipped this fucking weird hero. What combination will he have now, and how am I supposed to deal with it? I like when it's a bit more straightforward, where you can look at a unit and plan what you're going to do, as opposed to them just doing all sorts of random nonsense, you know? Especially in a game where like it's permadeath, if you want to play it that way, because the character could walk right up to you and just wipe out 3 guys,
and that's it.
You know, like.
And in fairness, because like I mean, you and me talk about this often. I often play the games with permadeath on because I like but if it's bullshit permadeath,
if it's
I'm not
fair,
interested.
then that's fine, you know. But if it's a case of like a character just does something that like completely off the rails, that one hits you and a bunch of other characters, you're like, no, I don't want to play
Rewind.
it that way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I would have to restart
Scum
the level.
save, the restart, yeah, absolutely. Well, so to give us, we're going to go through, I have things written down here in kind of in the order that the direct was kind of presented. So they tell us that it's based in Dagda, the realm of Dagda, which is
a new name.
Which is a new name, but it's
the continent wasn't called that.
But it's in the three houses realms,
yes,
supposedly.
For sure. It's definitely that continent, for sure.
And then the whole point of this storyline is that we have a thing called the Heroic Games, which is basically this kind of Colosseum competition where the main king, god, deity, whatever you want to call him, he'll give you any wish if you win the Heroic Games. So introducing then our four heroes who have their own reasons for taking part in these games. So this is our four playable stories. We've got Kai, who has an imprisoned father and joins up with his childhood pals to kind of, I guess, prove his father's innocence or get his father out of prison. We've got Dietrich, who's kind of from a different realm, who kind of crashes or
from some far off continent.
And then, his ship kind of crashes and he gets washed over here, and he's kind of just looking for challenges. So he's like, cool, what's the biggest challenge I can get in Dagda? Oh, the Heroic Games. I'm going to go and do that. He has it doesn't seem he's got any desire for the wish. He just wants to compete, which is quite interesting. And you've got Theodora, who's this part of a kind of like a hated faith, and she wants to win so she can try and bring a bit of pride back to the
she's
faith.
She's like the leader of that, like a cult who worships some sort of goddess or something like that.
The goddess of death or something like that. So it's quite...
That's kind of cool.
That's an interesting one. And then our last one is Leda, who wants to get revenge for her father's death, and supposedly the killer is taking part in the games.
You see him getting cut down in the trailer, and she's like, no. Well, that's kind of cool. She seems to be kind of like a bard / swordsman type character.
My first question is, so we're introduced to 4 characters in this. So we've got 4 stories to play through.
Yeah.
Is this becoming... Now, again, I don't know about this game. Three Houses was the last one I played. Is this becoming a bit of a tired... what would you say, gameplay mechanic? Because you got 3 houses, then you had in what was the one where you could choose the good guys, the bad guys, or the middle guys? That was that Robin's game?
You choose the good guys.
You could be on the bad
that
guys.
Was Corin's game. I hated that one.
So we have this thing where you're kind of repeating almost the same story a couple of times. Do you think this will be any different, any better?
I do. I think Three Houses was great because each house only had 8 characters, and generally you stuck to those 8, and every one of those 8 could interact with all the others within the house. There's support conversations between all of them.
Yes,
it wasn't like 2 or 3 of
or
them,
just everyone
often have. Because in a lot of Fire Emblem games, when there's too many characters, you can only a certain character can only interact with 3 or 4.
Yeah, because
that would just be way too many conversations. If 50 characters could talk to 50 characters, it would just go on forever.
Yeah.
Whereas in Three Houses, it kept it to a small group of 8, but all 8 could bond. And it really developed them.
Your crew was way much more like a crew,
and it made sense that they kept it smaller because the bigger it gets, the more diluted it is. Is basically what I'm getting at. But in this regard, if you have 4 main characters, then the size of the cast, even if it was 50, is now split 4 ways.
Yeah.
So if you have a group of 12 to 15. Times 4, then all those 12 and 15 can properly mingle, can properly have support conversations, can compete in like you recruit a character and then he's just gone for the whole game and he appears in maybe one cutscene. I hate that. Yeah. So in this, it's probably everyone you get on your route contributes in a way. Yeah. So it feels like they're a part of the team, So I don't think I think it's a formula they've unlocked to just flesh out characters, and I'm all for it. I think they should have smaller casts.
Yeah, smaller
and
casts.
Just allow them to multi-class if that's what you want.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Is there any of those 4 characters that kind of appeal to you in terms of I know you're probably going to play through all 4 stories, but you pick up the game tomorrow. Who's your first character you're playing?
I will probably start with Dietrich, but after chapter 1, I'm going immediately to switch to Theodora. Yep. And then after chapter 1 in her story, I'm going to immediately switch to Leda. Mm-hmm. And then after chapter 1, I'm going to immediately switch to Kai. And based on whoever's chapter 1 I enjoyed the most, I will play that character's chapter 2.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But I love that they've set it up that way because in Three Houses, whatever house you picked, that house just did the same story mission regardless of which house. This game is not like that.
Doesn't seem to be.
Because everyone has to get to the games in their own unique way. So they can't do the same missions. It will be unique.
You might have some of the same fights as in, Kai comes across Dietrich in the games. So you'll have that battle as Kai or as Dietrich.
That'd be great to see,
Because they call it, in this game, they call it the Pale Raven, which is one of those things when you're walking around the general area. The Pale Raven is this thing that you speak with that will allow you to switch between essentially campaigns, which is quite cool.
It's just kind of bird that like
yes, yeah,
purchase. And we're not sure how that works, but it seems like the main character will be traveling back in time to
redo a different
kind of redo or kind of participate, kind of see how this all unfolds, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that, like, say I do chapter 2 in a story, say I level up Kai twice. When I go back to the main story, I'm hoping he's 2 levels higher than where I left, you know?
Nice,
I'm hoping they do fun ways of strengthening your main squad based on how you're playing, you know?
Yeah.
Even if it's just adding a bit of EXP that you accumulated from the past, giving you that EXP in the future, you know?
Would be quite cool.
It'd be interesting to do, and a nice, fun new mechanic to, you know, be able to do that, like...
And I think in terms of one of the things that really worried me, there was a trailer that came out a good few weeks ago for the game. It was on a different Nintendo Direct, and I think they ended it with Fortune's Wheeze. And the whole trailer kind of took part in the Coliseum, and I was like, oh, this game doesn't
That was
look
the
good.
first trailer?
Yeah.
I hated that.
It was an awful trailer.
Yeah.
But it looks like the Heroic Games is just kind of, so it's this Coliseum where there's different battles, like each battle has a different kind of setup in the Coliseum, and that's like your main kind of story campaign, but in between that you've got loads of stuff to do.
I think the Coliseum is just the monastery from Three Houses.
Yes.
You know, it's your home base.
Yeah.
And at the end of every month or whatever, you have to compete in a game. But after that, you can explore the world map by kind of branching out and going on these side missions and stuff like that. But I think that's another fantastic idea because like you have a hub town with like a lot of events going on and characters that you can probably recruit and see, as opposed to being on the road and not being able to see a character or having to canonically have every character be in there with you,
or like in the monastery. Like that's the one thing that I enjoyed about Three Houses, but it did feel like a very small world in that all of your kind of free roaming travel took place essentially within the monastery.
And eventually you just get bored of fishing and stuff like that.
Do the same activities, but this one you've got like your what's it called? Is it Dagesson is the name of the town? I have it written here. Anyway, but you've got the town, and in there we have like so much stuff. So you've got Dagsian is what it's called. So within Dagsian, in between your fights, you've got like arena training. You can watch other fights to learn. That
was the coolest mechanic for me. I was like, I can't wait to do that.
I love the
idea of watching 2 opposing armies fight.
Yeah.
And then like you knowing that you have to play the winner in your next round means that like you can see the types of units they have and spend your time training characters that are good against those infantry
give
or
loads
something
of people
like that.
spears because she's got a whole army of horses.
Exactly, like, and I would love to plan out my like strategy like that to like, okay, this month I'm going to reclass everyone into this specific unit type to fucking mulch that up. And I'd be like, and if that type of stuff works out, then all the power for it.
Yeah.
My concern there is it often costs a lot of money to reclass, or you know, like you get that.
Well, in this one,
Master Seal, but hopefully you get more stuff. You know,
in this one, it's different. It's called. So you have to do a certification exam to change your classes. So
you always had to do an exam, yeah.
But so I wonder, okay. So
you still needed the Master Seal, but you had to have a high rank in certain things to be able to pass the exam. Yeah. So I don't know what way that'll work. If you don't need a Master Seal, great, because those are fucking expensive. Like and eventually you're like, oh man, I don't want to have enough money to keep doing this over and over again,
between every matchup in the
Exactly.
Coliseum.
And I would love for the characters to be able to switch more at will, you know, that way I could have a whole squad of wyverns if I wanted, or just a bunch of cavalry because I want to go really quickly, you know.
So let's talk then about the classes, because it looks like in this one that you've got, I guess it's not entirely unusual. I think Three Houses had something similar, though it may not have been called as such, but you've got beginner or basic, specialty, and advanced classes.
I was unfortunate to see it was only 3, especially because in Three Houses there was 4, you know,
4 levels of classes.
4 levels of classes.
So in this one, in beginner, there's 5 different classes. We know in specialty there's 10 different classes, and the game didn't, or at least in that direct, it didn't confirm how many classes were in the advanced
Hopefully
section.
A lot, because in Three Houses, like Paladin was an advanced class, whereas the Great Knight, which usually Paladin and Great Knight are kind of opposites, but still the exact same in terms of power.
Yes.
Whereas Paladin was an advanced, and then Great Knight was a master class.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, why is Great Knight better than Paladin? Because often I would keep my units as a Paladin, even though it's supposed to be a worse.
Because you just
because on the stats wise, it was actually better at times. Like, no, I'd want a clear distinction between advanced and master. Like, you know,
they have interesting ones in this one. There's like, oh my god, I'm gonna get the name of this wrong, but there's a class called, and I don't know if this is like historically there was things called this, but there's a class in the advanced one called called the Cataphract, which
What?
is this, yeah, I know. They were like, oh, the enjoy your time was the Cataphract class, which is basically someone on like, it looks like I think you're on one of the the Pegasus type things, winged horses, but they've now named that the Cataphract, and I'm like, I wonder if that has any sort of historical, or is that just a made up fucking weird name for your? I was going to check it up before we did the episode.
It was annoying that they renamed the flying classes.
Yes.
All right, like
And
one
you
is
said
just
Dragoon.
Winged Knight.
Yes,
You
and
know,
you've
for
got
the Pegasus. Like Pegasus, what's wrong with Pegasus Knight? Did they lose the rights or something?
Yeah,
What
well,
happened?
yeah, or like maybe you're trying to change too much. Like we don't mind that class is called the same. Like that's
like if it's
okay.
the same class, you're not fooling anyone. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I was disappointed that they didn't seem to have a lot of new, unique ones.
There was an elephant.
There's an
class.
elephant and a charioteer or something.
Yes.
You know, those were the only kind of two I could see.
But in fairness, if we have at least, well, I mean, there's 15 classes before you even get to advanced, and I'm assuming advanced is going to have like maybe 7 or 8 classes. So you're talking 22 different classes. We only saw about.
No, but I've just
7 or 8.
played Unicorn Overlord, Darren. There was like fucking 50 in that, like at least, and they were all unique. You know, so I am gonna hold Fire Emblem now to a higher standard because Unicorn Overlord has, you know, raised the bar. You know, so if you have just fucking 10 classes,
they're all the same stuff.
That's not enough, especially because this is what the 15th Fire Emblem game. You have to add 1 or 2 each go.
time. Well, they have an elephant now. I guess it's something, right? So interestingly enough, we were talking about the classes. Just to go back a little bit, because we're talking about like the heroic games and the Colosseum, and it looks like our main characters have these things called blaze arts, like special moves.
Yeah.
So like Kai, the kid, can like fire a fire blast from his hand, which is like an AOE attack. Dietrich just can teleport. To different
I
areas.
really do enjoy teleports though in those games, because traditionally in Fire Emblem, like a teleport or rescue scroll was so expensive.
Exactly, yeah.
And I never spend what's expensive.
Like, it's that thing of like when I play Final Fantasy, by the time I get to the end of the game, I've got like 50 something elixirs because I was too afraid to use them.
It was the same with the teleport scroll. I was like, no, I can't use it. I might need it in the final boss. But the fact that he can just use it a lot means like, oh, brilliant.
That'll be a good play style. And we know that Theodora can like move the earth and use the earth to like attack. So I guess
she can lob a rock.
Yeah, essentially. Which is kind of boring. And then we know that Leda can summon beasts and buff allies. So I'm leaning towards her for my first playthrough. She's like the bard. She seems like a lot of fun.
Her voice actor's annoying. That got me.
Yeah,
like, I have to win. And she said something like that.
And she has.
I immediately dislike that.
And there was another bit as well. And I think it's a problem with Fire Emblem games in general in terms of budget constraints, I guess, but like she's acting really like emotionally she's like, I have to save my whatever, but her sprite is just kind of standing there stock still, opening and closing the mouth, and I'm like, this doesn't fit.
Plus it's doing, you know, when it's like there's a part in the trailer where it's showing Kai versus Dietrich, or like it's showing the playable characters in matchups, and they're clearly like when you play Tekken or Street Fighter, you know the way they say some generic line to each other. It's clearly she's like, I have to do this for my father, you know, like she's yelling it out even though Kai is just standing right there.
Like, it's this.
And like he didn't do shit.
You
like,
can keep it down. Like,
like he didn't commit any atrocity or whatever.
But I do enjoy the idea of there being special moves for our main characters, because Three Houses or any other game didn't really have such a mechanic, right? We never had special moves. They had combat arts,
the combat arts,
which are still in this game, but this seems like another level.
But they weren't special,
and it's only your 4 leaders have the moves. Like, because in the previous games, everybody had combat arts.
That's
right?
true, yeah.
So this is kind of like a new.
Some are tied specific to a weapon, maybe. Like I remember, like Ike had Great Eater, and that was a special move for him. Certain classes have a special move for the class, and a lord can only be the main character a lot of the time. So the main character will often have a special move.
Cool. Okay.
But it's just usually only one main character. You know?
Yeah. But now we've got 4. And 4
exactly.
Different
so I don't know in Three Houses if each character did. Someone will have to tell me. I can't remember if Edelgard or
had special.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did. Like again, combat arts, but I don't think they had. Oh, they each had a weapon, didn't they? Didn't they?
They definitely had. Each had one of the special weapons that
I guess
we see in Smash Bros. All the time.
Yeah. I guess that could be considered.
There was the fail knot. There was the big axe and the sword of the creator.
Yeah. So they probably had a version of a special move that only they had, but it was based around the weapon, not in terms of these seems to be personal powers.
Yeah, they're personal powers as opposed to tied to the weapon. It's different enough anyway.
Yes, I'll take it. The last thing they talked about the heroic games or the battles in general, because they did a whole talk about strategy, and I'm like, I've played enough Fire Emblem games, I know how to play the game. But one interesting thing they put in, which I don't like, is the ability to turn back time. And that's only because I'm a die-hard permadeath person, that they've kind of just given you automatic easy mode, which
I bet on the hard modes you probably won't be able to use that.
or maybe an option to turn, because I turn that shit.
Definitely will be.
I would turn that shit right off immediately and just like live
fair play,
with
but
my
I will not be
failures.
doing that, especially if they have one shot KO type nonsense that I can't see coming.
And I think my worry is because they have this option, I'm worried there'll be more of that bullshit because they've given you the option just to go backwards, and I'm like, but I love because I mean I always play my games like that. It's like they're dead, but. Yeah, this makes
because like those special moves we've just been talking about. Well, if you're up against an opponent and they just fire that one shot thing and it just takes out 4 of your gut. No, I would definitely want to rewind time.
That's fair. One of the interesting things they brought into it, so we're kind of going back to Daxian, which is the world that you're in. One of the interesting things they brought into it was the temple service. There's 7 temples, and you can
get a buff
volunteer to help. And I on first watch I thought it was kind of almost like a side quest, but on this watch before doing the episode I was kind of left a little bit deflated because I thought you'd assign yourself almost to a religion and have side quests throughout the games. It was almost like a side thing to do with this temple, but it seems that you can just choose to volunteer at one of the 7 temples before each fight, and depending on which temple it'll be a buff. And I was like, that's cool, but I was kind of hoping I could just like join a faith and just like level up in this faith.
It's just like the cooking mechanic in Tree Houses, So they probably aren't doing the cooking thing again. It's probably that's their
temple
solution.
Stuff, volunteer, and you get like that deity's buff, whatever else. But some of them seem cool, like half damage, double damage, and I don't know. Those are
they'll be OP as fuck by the end of the game.
Yeah. By the time you get all the way
up. Take the EXP boost every time, please.
We've also got the kind of the classic things, just town folk quests, which I assume will take you into the open world as well as within Daxian. Then you've got the warriors that you can recruit kind of in around Daxian, and again it's got that kind of whole gift giving relationship building that they might refuse.
I hate the gift giving. I hate that.
And it's
because learning all that is going to consume me.
Get out your notebook.
I will have to write shit down, like who likes what and all that type of, and I hate doing it. But if it's a cool character, I can't not have him. You know,
because it did show kind of certain characters and them being like, no, I don't want to join your team. You're like, okay, I've got to go get you.
I'll just waste the gift. Now I got to reset the game again. That'll be my life.
Then they have an inn, which is kind of for passing the time, but you can use the inn that's where you have your support conversations. I think that's where you kind of the relationship. If they're ready to go to the next level of their relationship, that's where it happens. And in the inn, you can choose to pass time. And I think it said something like, what you send people out on kind of mini quests. And when you're in the inn and you're passing time, that's when they'll get whatever treasure or stuff that they have during that moment. And then, of course, the last thing that they mentioned was that the Pale Raven, which was to switch the story campaigns. But we've already talked about that. Then we come to the world map, Craig, which I'm quite
nice.
I'm
quite
quite
this is where it got different.
Yes, I was like quite excited about this because again, it looks cool. I like the look of the world map. And again, it's finally something new that it's kind of it had that bit of Final Fantasy Tactics vibe going forth that you're free to kind of. I just mean in terms of
don't wreck the game for me, Darren. Jesus.
I mean in terms of that you've got like this world map that you can travel through various different towns in, and also enemies will randomly appear on the world map, kind of very similar to what happened in Tactics. You get into,
but time is passing as you move.
Yes, so you seem to have like a good, but it's like a month almost in between.
I think
fights.
There was like I saw on the top counter it said 200
turns or something like that.
And I'm like and he moved a couple, and it didn't go even down by 1 yet, So I'm like, you could get a lot of time between fights.
Yeah, so I wonder that's what I'm like,
or maybe a turn in the battle counts as one, So a fight that lasts 15 turns could be 15 ticks,
Yeah.
Because way like if say reinforcements come in and you just stay there and grind, you can kind of like just get infinite experience. Maybe that's the way it crashed on that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what way it works, but it seems like you have a lot of time.
Yes, and then on the world map you kind of have like towns that you can visit to get new weapons or inventory. You
probably quests,
and you can speak to people to gather information. And I'm assuming that's info on maybe if they know something about the next opponent that you have, so you can kind of do a bit of scouting while you're out and about. Training, so it's all about skirmishes. So this is where you level up because I guess you only get one major fight in the Coliseum every fucking month.
Yeah.
So most of your battles, so you're leveling up people, it's going to be out in the world map. So you've got your normal skirmishes, and then there was this new thing. So you got the world map, but in the world map we've got this brand new thing, dungeons.
That was pretty cool,
and that kind of had a bit of a, what would you say,
turn-based
metaphor Fantasio. Yeah, like in terms of you're running around, you've got that free, because it looked, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, reminded when I watched you running around in Metaphor, because it's the same kind of, I suppose, style.
Yeah.
But in this, you go around, you get treasure, you're running around these dungeons, and you also get into fights, but they're turn-based. When you get into
it seems like there's like 3 or 4 characters at once, you know? And so if you have your team of, say, 10, 12, I'm wondering, do you just put 3 to the front, and if they get injured, you swap them out, you know? And like that's pretty cool. And if there's some sort of team-up attacks, like, That's a cool new way of having a bonding system as opposed to just standing near someone and getting a +5 avoid, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so
Which
they could do a lot of cool shit with it.
But yeah, the dungeons has really intrigued me as to the depth of the game because, like I said, Three Houses was big and I like Three Houses, but you did a lot of the same missions. No matter whose campaign you were doing, you did a lot of the same missions.
There wasn't a lot of variety.
No, whereas this looks like, judging by the world map and everything like that, every kind of playthrough of a campaign could be vastly different.
And even though a lot of the fights are in the Colosseum, the Colosseum is clearly changing with each battle.
Yes.
Like there's like loads of forests in one area, there's loads of like
water,
walls and
or traps in another one.
So I like it. It's set like a Colosseum death match with all these different what's the words? All these
concepts, I guess, that you or like
modes
or
different features. Like say, I guess in some battles, like flyers will have an advantage, and in some battles, like ground units will have an advantage. Like they're changing the landscape so that you'll probably have to switch your units a lot, and I love that because I love planning it out and knowing like what I'd have to do and like, what units would excel in certain terrains.
I don't know how you gather, or maybe it's through like the side quests, or maybe it's through going through Daxian, or maybe it's doing these kind of talking to people in the other towns in the world map. But I did see a screen on the direct where it was basically showing the placement of all the enemy troops and what class they were for the next fight. Okay. So I wonder, do you slowly uncover that bit by bit by the people you talk to?
Intel. Yeah.
So by the time, if you're like a completionist like you or me, that you get everything that you're looking at, basically like their entire starting battle plan. You're like, okay, I'm going to use him to counter that person to counter that person. Yeah. You go into the fucking skirmish and you absolutely wipe the floor with them. And
I love to plan that out, you know.
And I'm so intrigued as to what you learn from watching. You know, the way we talked about the watching of the fights. You can go back to the Coliseum and watch.
Can I actually just sit there and watch the characters move? Because I would watch the entire fight of that.
It was like a mini cutscene, because I didn't see when they talked about that bit on the direct. They didn't actually show like what would you say, like a computer just playing two sides against each other like we would on the map. It actually kind of had a cutscene battle of these characters fighting each other in the Coliseum, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I'd love to just watch that and see what you glean from it. Like, you know? Yeah.
Like hopefully it's not just like really quick movements with clearly showing AI just making the
attacks.
Moves,
it's like a little. You get to watch a little cutscene.
Yeah, and it'd be
battle.
nice if it was kind of close as well. Like oh shit, they nearly had it. If only they did this move.
You're like, okay, I know how to beat them. Like
but maybe they'll level up or swap in a few soldiers. You know, might not necessarily.
Yeah, and I'm really interested. Like the turn-based clashes, I think would be a nice fresh step away from the classic.
Certainly to give the variety you'd want while doing side missions. Like
and turn-based is all the rage now these days. Craig, it's coming back
massively. You know.
Yeah. People love that shit. Also in the world map, we've got more hero abilities, and we weren't kind of told of all of them, but we know
abilities that you can do on the map.
Yes. So Dietrich, his ability, he can just reveal enemies. So I guess you can avoid getting yourself into skirmishes.
Or jump straight in there. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I like what that enemy has. You know.
Theodora, we know that she can recruit battalions and either use them to go on hunts for inventory or treasure, or deploy them in battles as battalions, which is quite cool. They didn't specifically say about Kai, but during the screenshot, it looked like he was just facing up against a monster. So I'm wondering, is he kind of like a beast master that he can like...
Yeah, he was able to recruit the kind of ostrich-looking thing.
Yes.
It looks like he can recruit mounts, you know?
Which
would change his class a lot, which is deadly. Like,
or like if he could recruit beasts for the whole team, that your whole team is running around on weird things.
I bet it's just him, for him, for his class.
That'd be...
I don't know, but like... I mean, him on top of a monster or something like that.
Be quite cool. Then Leda, it looks like she can, I guess, do performances as a bard as she travels the world map for goods. It wasn't clear, but it just said that she just had the guitar out 1 second. The next thing was just an inventory page being like, oh, you would obtain these things. So I'm wondering, does she just...
That's where I'd be worried for you, Darren, in picking her as your main character, because she does... reek of a support character who buffs allies.
I'm kind of into that. Well, if
main character should never be a support character.
Potentially, but if her team... So I'm interested in the teams. The team I'm most worried about is Kai, because Kai is going in with his childhood friends.
Yeah, I don't want to play as him because his companions are just going to be saying stupid shit that's going to annoy me.
And for me, it's like the least realistic ones to get out of the Colosseum alive. They're just a bunch of kids being like, we'll go help you, Kai. And I'm like, they're going to get fucked up. Dietrich is interesting because his one just seems to be like people he meets after he crash lands. And he's just like, you'll join me on my quest for killing beasts. So his team could be quite interesting. Yeah. But I think the one who looks like they've got the strongest team is Theodora, in terms of she's got like people who are in the faith with her.
She's got like all these like war generals with her and stuff like that, you know? So she's probably like the favorite maybe to win the whole thing. Who knows? You know?
Yeah.
Certainly Kai's got to be the underdog, you know?
Yeah, as a child going into the fucking...
It's just his design looks cool. I like that he has a spear. It's just like...
His special
I
move was
won't
quite
enjoy
cool.
him or any of his side characters.
No.
Guaranteed. I don't like children in video games when it's an adult
When it's adults in it as well.
game, especially in war and in combat. I don't like
because they don't take it
them
seriously
taking
enough.
light of it.
Yeah. So that's kind of all of the whole thing to do with the heroic games. And the end of the direct brought us to what is essentially the main game of Fire Emblem, which I was like, oh fuck damn, this game looks like it could be huge. Which is where the game time skips all of a sudden 5 years, and 5 years into the future, Dagda is supposedly facing its end because of the revival of the demon god, and she's coming along to just like, I guess, raise all the bodies of the dead and destroy everything. And you are introduced to a clip of Sothis, who was your one from Three Houses, who is then kind of reviving a new hero who I think his name is Eshmel.
Yeah.
Because it came up, they didn't specifically say it, but there's a battle sequence and it looked like the name on the left was Eshmel, unless that was the name of the enemy. I couldn't tell, but I think that might be his name. But he comes in and that's the main character. That's the directs it, that's the protagonist. And I was like,
next Fire Emblem Smash character confirmed.
Which I'm kind of like, I don't like because he's so fucking.
But he uses a spear, so I'm like, I like that.
You're like that. But
I'm sick of swordsmen.
I'm just so sick of. Like any of the other four, I would take in Smash Brothers over this because he's just like
what?
He's in complete white gear, white hair.
That's because he's mysterious.
But
You're not supposed to see him yet.
He's
gonna take the hood down.
He's
Relax.
the silent, stupid protagonist.
We don't know that.
Oh, he didn't say anything in the trailer.
Yeah, but that's because they don't want to spoil stuff. Hopefully he does. If he doesn't talk, I will be annoyed.
Because that's why I worry is that like I understand what they try to do is like here's the main character. The main character is you. But a lot of times I play games.
I don't buy that at all. Even though they've done that the last several games, which is very unfortunate. Ever since Awakening, they've made an avatar the main character, which I'm like, who gives a shit about?
Yeah, I want to play a game. I want to know their story, and I hope this Eshmil guy isn't just me playing the video game. He's a dude who's like, I am risen from the dead, and I'm like, give me some action.
Like none of the characters since Path of Radiance, which is Ike's game, have oozed any sort of the charisma or awesomeness that Ike has. He is just a badass with a fucking giant sword.
Yeah.
And none of them have come close because they all are like half wizard, half soldier, and they can't really decide which it is. They have to allow for both. So your character's never big or bulky. He's just kind of scrawny.
Yeah, because it's like they want to let you decide what you do with your character.
Yeah,
like, no, just give me a character.
So he's a master of nothing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then we're introduced to kind of what I guess the main gameplay mechanic is of this is that you can play through the main story as the main protagonist saving Dagda on your own,
which a lot of people will probably try and do.
Yeah, which would be quite. I mean,
kind of Zelda Breath of the Wild style.
And if he has
go fight Ganondorf,
I wonder, does he, or is there like even in that future, do you have a couple of people anyway that are standard that'll be on that team? But the whole idea
quite
is
possibly. I'm sure you'll have a squad of 8 at least. Enough to fill a
team, a battle.
Yeah, but probably no more.
You can talk to Fortuna, the goddess of fate, when you are revived as
There you go. She'll probably fight with you.
But yeah, true. And she helps you time travel. And the whole thing is that you can time travel to change the fates of the main 4 heroes that we thought were the main 4 heroes, Kai, Theodore, all them. And you can change their fate and then recruit them into the future to help you on your main quest.
Yeah.
And
which is the mechanic I'm most excited for. I think it's great.
I think they can do really good stuff with this mechanic, or it could be really just like empty.
If it works how I think it will, that's why I want to do chapter 1 of all 4 characters, and then maybe after a few characters, just switch it up and switch character to keep the game fresh, but also try kind of invest in the other heroes. And I hope that
when you recruit them to your team, I hope that you get them with the squad that you had, with the relationships that they had, so that you're just continuing on. But my worry is there's a high potential that you just recruit them and the game becomes a little bit soulless from then, because I genuinely think that they are going for the silent protagonist from this point onwards, because that's cool and edgy, and
I hate that they do it.
And I think that's my worry. But if it is done with this idea that you pretty much are uploading your save data file to the modern game with that character, that campaign, I'm like, yes, do that. But I'm worried that you'll get a generic version of these guys and their teams.
I don't think so. I think they'll keep the data from whatever you had in the before time, and that'll be brought
that if
over.
I recruited Dietrich,
because otherwise
there's
no point doing this.
Because if I recruited Dietrich and I never played through his campaign, and I get them all, and they're not. I have no problem with that. Like in terms of if there's no relationships between the characters because I never developed them, I never did his campaign, I'm okay with that. But if they do that after I've gone through a whole campaign with those people, I'd be so angry. So I'm hoping that they do the right thing.
I just like Dietrich and Kai won't have a bond because that they won't have chatted before that. I'd say.
So you then can develop the 4 heroes maybe relationships at this point onwards, which should be quite cool.
But there's still like, I'm curious. It seems like that's the main concept and what they were trying to kind of go for in Three Houses. but it didn't work because they were like, okay, we don't actually have the manpower to make 3 separate campaigns.
Yeah.
Whereas this time we're going for 4, and I'm guessing the main campaign will be shorter to compensate for that.
Yeah, the Colosseum, my one fear with this is that the Colosseum might just be 5 fights.
It's quite
5
possible.
battles to get to the end.
I wouldn't be, because I do think though, like more than 50% of the game will be after you've recruited them. It's like I don't think it's going to be 50-50. You know, like 50% of the game is in the before time, 50% is after. I think it's like maybe 30% of the game will be before the time skip.
And you reckon the bigger chunk is
that way you have more time for those new characters to develop,
yes,
you know, and
together.
to go out and do your story, like, you know.
It's interesting that, like, you know, which is quite cool to think that this could be a game well worth the fucking €70 price tag in terms of value, in terms of
visually
hours.
it does not look like it's up to scratch for that type of stuff.
In fairness, what I will say is that looking at it and looking at the characters, one of the things that I thought was the biggest improvement was that, and the one thing I didn't like about Three Houses, you ran around a world in Three Houses that it looked like your sprite, which you were controlling, didn't fit into, because graphically they were very impressive. Well, very impressive. I say they were impressive-ish. They were the most developed thing graphically, and the rest of the world wasn't. So I felt really out of place to be running around the monastery. I was like, oh, graphics are very poor.
I still feel that way, yeah.
But one thing I will say is this one, at least everything blends. I think graphically there's been an improvement that you're running around the world that looks like your character belongs in.
I know, but it's still like way wider than it needs to be. There's way too many just like boxes and like generic
the assets.
Jank, and just nothing. You're like,
big open spaces.
Like it just reminds me of like RPGs from the PS2 era and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
And not the Final Fantasy ones, the bad ones, like, you know? So I don't like that, and especially if you're going to charge like 70 or 80 euro, I'm like, that's unacceptable to me. And if the game looks that bad.
So I think I would say I think the game looks bad. I don't think it's like Switch.
I don't think it looks bad. It's not like as bad as Three Houses, but like for a PS5 era video game, like, you know.
Yeah. I won't mind if the gameplay is hella fun. If the gameplay and the relationship stuff is under par, then I'll be annoyed by the graphics, because I'm like, wait, I would have thought. I mean,
gameplay is more important.
If you sacrifice the graphics to make the game loads of fun, cool, that's fine. But if the game isn't fun and I'm walking around with like relatively not great graphics for the current generation, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be like, well, I'm not.
But if you're not going to invest in those graphics, don't charge 80 quid. You know.
True.
That's how I feel. If this comes out at 60, you know, and it's a good game, I give it glowing reviews. But if it comes out at 70,
what did Mario Kart? Mario Kart was €80, wasn't it?
I think it was. Well, I got it with my Switch too.
Yeah, so did I. I can't remember. But Mario Kart was madly expensive. But none of the other games have matched that price tag since. Mario Kart was the exception to the rule. So hopefully, I mean, say if it was 60 quid.
If it was 60 quid, I'd be like, that's a good price for like a game that clearly you're going to get a lot of replayability out of.
Hours, like, and especially as you said, because it looks like a massive chunk of the game, or the whole direct, was based around what you said, and could rightly have said it was just 30% of the actual game, and the main thing you're going to experience is this thing that we just caught a glimpse of at the end. That could be the entirety of the. Be hours and hours of playthrough. It's coming out September 17th, Craig. So like
long.
5 weeks. 5 weeks away. Are you getting it day one?
Yes. I'm coming to the end of Black Flag. I'm considering either a Clear Obscure Expedition 33 second playthrough, or playing Spider-Man 2, because I've just played the new Spider-Man.
Oh, you watched the new Spider-Man movie?
I watched the new Spider-Man movie, so I'm kind of on that buzz, and I think it might be free on PlayStation Network. Don't quote me on that.
I think it is. I have the two of them down. I have that and Spider-Man.
So
Spider-Man
I know
2
the Miles Morales one is, but I'm not sure if Spider-Man 2 is.
Okay, yeah.
So if that is, I might play that.
Yeah.
Even though I hate the Peter Parker in it, he's just so lame.
They changed him as well, like in terms of graphically. Which I thought was a mad thing to do in Spider-Man 2. They had him looking very kind of, I suppose, like a unique person. And then they did an update where they changed his face, and now he's like really bland, boring looking person.
Well, he sounds bland and boring.
Yeah.
Do you know, like in the first game, there's a scene where he's overly friendly and nice. And I'm like, yeah, Peter Parker is nice, but like, he's also very funny, whereas this guy is just being polite all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a moment in the first game where Doc Ock, like, he was not even Doc Ock yet, he's just a scientist, and he makes a mistake and kind of gets angry, and then Peter Parker just kind of was like, oh, better luck next time, Doc. And Doc Ock, like in a bit of a rage, like raises his fist to kind of punch him, and Peter Parker just kind of goes like flinches and looks terrified. I'm like, oh my god, like, you in that moment, I hate you. You're a little bitch. You know, you're Spider-Man, and you flinched when this old man with no powers like went to throw a dig at you, And like he looked terrible. I was like, oh my god! And I just lost all self-respect for that Spider-Man character.
Yeah. He's definitely not by any stretch. I played like a couple hours of the first one, and I found it, and people are going to probably be annoyed by this take, I found the gameplay to be quite repetitive, and I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I'd like to revisit maybe Spider-Man 2, but I know the two of them are very much connected. But I was like, I don't know.
I watched the catch-up video to like see.
Okay, yeah, okay. Maybe I should.
They're very combat heavy, but like if you compare them to the Batman Arkham games, like they're just nowhere near that level.
Yeah.
Like because the Batman Arkham games, like they flow much better. The combat makes sense.
Yes.
Spider-Man, he's just doing too much.
Yeah,
you know,
too flashy.
Too much. You know, like just dodging like 100 bullets at once. And I'm like, no, you're just going way too up and above with this. You need to just ground it a little bit. Like, you know. So
Spider-Man 2 might be the game to take you.
Based on our conversation, it's probably going to be Claire Obscure. Like I'm talking myself out of it the more we're talking about it. I'm like, geez, Peter Parker's such a bitch.
No, I'm done. I don't want to do that. Excellent. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do post-show after this episode, Craig, and we're going to talk about what kind of game that exists out there that we would like to see given the Fire Emblem treatment in terms of the strategy style that it's got to kind of switch up a game. So if you're interested in checking that out, check out patreon.com/thegiftofgaming. For less than a coffee a month, there's a ton more content there. Craig, I think that's covered. We've covered just about everything about Fortune's Weave. You're hyped about it, excited about it based off the direct?
Optimistic just because it's a sequel to Three Houses as opposed to anything to do with Engage.
Yeah. I would say that I am much happier about the prospect of the game after seeing that direct, because I was very much down on it after that initial trailer. I was like, this game looks crap, but it looks, and the open world dungeons, I'm like, great, you guys have actually
there's
done
plenty of
different.
Unique ideas in there that it could be at least very interesting.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, super. Well, Craig, thank you so much for hopping onto the show.
Of course.
And to our listeners, as always and forever, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.